And with that, we are live. Good morning. How is everybody doing? Situated here. Get things adjusted. Get settled in. Sip a little bit of coffee. Let's hang out. Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. What's going on, everyone? Let's see. Sam's here. Sam says hello, everyone. Hello, Sam. And good morning or good afternoon to you. I guess, yeah. What is going on? Let me scoot this back just a little. There we go. Sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. We disconnected for a moment. I think we're back. If you can see me now, hit that thumbs up button. There's the test. All right. Right on. Let's see. Oh, you guys are tuning in. Right on. Time Surfing Alien says good morning. Dallo's here. Dallo says good morning. Dreesy Guitars, good morning. Robert says hello, people. Hey, there he is. Says hello, people. Hey, there he is. Right on, right on. There's Dallo with the thumbs up. Time Surfing's waving. Nice. Right on. So everything's working. We're good. Had a little minor hiccup there, I guess, in the old interwebs. Terry's here. Terry says, Heidi ho, Jeff. Good morning, Terry. Right on, right on. I feel like I'm going to fall off this chair, and I don't want to do that. What's everybody up to today? I hope you're all doing awesome. Let's see, live. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, like I said already, a couple times probably, what's everybody up to? And Jimmer's here. What's up, man? Sam says, I need a technical support team. Yes. Yes, I do. Sometimes it feels like I do. Well, thanks for tuning in today on this Wednesday Live. Little update here. I'm a little bit under the weather today. About Saturday afternoon, I started feeling a little funny, and I'd come down with some sort of sinus. I don't know what it is. Some sort of cold or something going on. And it's been a little bit of a slow week here, unfortunately. Just because, well, I haven't been feeling all that great. Today I'm feeling a little bit better, so I think I'm on the other side of it. But I've been spending a lot of time in front of the computer working on the bass guitar, getting everything modeled up, and it's like right there. It's so close right now, and I've even started. In fact, well, you could see it earlier. I've started preparing some materials back here to start doing some test cuts. I'm hoping that today, tomorrow, I can start doing some test cuts for the bass, and yeah, we'll get this project rolling. Due to since I haven't been feeling all that great, I don't know yet if we're gonna have a video this weekend, but we'll see what happens there. If we do, it'll probably be something related to this, and yeah, getting things, maybe just doing some of the testing, working on the files, that sort of thing. I'm not sure yet. At this moment, I don't have anything filmed for a video, which, yeah, I was hoping, but yeah. You get sick, right? Anyway, I hope all of you are not sick, and I hope your week is going good. Ken Mack says, a good Wednesday morning to you. Well, good morning to you, Ken. Robert says, I got the notification, opened the stream, and just had the spinning wheel buffer thing. Then you popped in. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Some little hiccup in the matrix there. Robert says, hope you continue to keep feeling better. Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's never fun when you're sick. Never fun. I was hoping it was just going to be a day or two, but It's kind of been dragging on, this whole sinus. It's just a sinus. I don't know what it is. And Sam with the super chat says towards coffee. Oh yeah, we can't forget the coffee. Sam, thank you so much. Keeping the coffee stocked up. I appreciate that. Right on. Sam says, don't forget to like. It's totally free. It is totally free. Right on. And Paul's here. Paul says, hello, everyone. Good morning, Paul. Sorry if I sound a little funny. My sinuses, feels like my ears haven't popped in days. You guys know how that is. But I'm looking forward to just hanging out. I need to get a little time away from the computer modeling thing and hang out with all of you. So yeah, what's everybody working on? Any projects? Things you're cranking out? I don't have a whole lot of things to report. Time Surfing Alien says it's pollen. You know, in the past I've never had issues with allergies. I'm not saying it's not. You know, I guess I could develop some sort of, allergy or something. But it just doesn't, I don't know. To me it feels like a head cold. But I don't know. I hope it's not pollen, really, because then I get this to look forward to every year. I don't know. I hope it goes away. That's all I can say. Paul says, on call this week, so not a lot of time to get in the shop. Oh, that's a bummer. So you got to be available all the time. So that's gonna, what's gonna happen as soon as you go out in the shop and start working on something, someone's gonna call and need some sort of help with something, and there goes all your progress. Robert says, yeah, it really sucks when you aren't feeling well, when it's allergies, you aren't technically sick, just feel like crud. Well, I definitely feel like crud. I did have, I think it was Sunday night, just a slight mild fever. I don't know if allergies give you a fever or not. I'm not an expert on any sort of allergy issues for sure. Time Surfing says asks pine trees where you're at. Yes, we have a few. Actually, in the area there's a lot, but right here where I live, there are a few of them here. Sam, it's not good to just hang out. I don't like just hanging out. I want to be working on something. And Corey says doing some fishing, and on top of that, doctor's appointment twice a week. At least you're getting some fishing time in, some outdoor time. Devon says, I picked up an 80s Aria Pro 2 XR over the weekend. I'm going to use it as a pattern to build my own Super Strat guitar. Nice. That sounds like a cool project. I had a buddy who had an Aria. It was a, let's see, what was that? A hollow body Aria. And it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool guitar. Time Surfing says, yep, sounds like allergies. Oh boy. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's not, but I don't know. I sure don't feel very good. Paul says, yep, the calls come when I get ready to work in the shop, so I just don't go there. Plus phone doesn't work great in the shop. And Robert went for years without allergies. Then when I moved to Oklahoma, and have had allergies ever since. Oh boy. Sam says, drink English tea, or a breakfast tea with honey. And Tony's here. Tony says, morning sunshine. Good morning, Tony. Yes, the sun is shining. Time Surfing says, pine pollen is a health wrecker. Oh boy. Sunpack and Rick is here. Rick says, good morning, Jeff and friends. Rick, what's going on? Hope your day is going awesome. Right on. Glad you could tune in. So yeah, like I said, I've been working on doing a lot of the modeling for the bass guitar, getting that fine-tuned. I figure if I'm not feeling all that great, I may as well be at least getting something done. I've got almost the entire guitar modeled up. I got to do a little bit of work on the neck profile and a couple little things here and there, but I was able to get just some scrap stock cut. You know, I want to use this for like a sample fretboard, and I've got a chunk back here that I'm going to use for a body blank. It's just, this is from that giant cottonwood log. It's all ended up being mostly cracked and split, but I'm going to use it as kind of test stock. I hate to use what used to be cool material, nice figure and stuff in there, but it's got a lot of cracks. You can see the cracks on the end. Lots of that wood has that once I got it all sliced up, but I think it's going to work good and allow me to really test everything, get everything working, because I do plan to cut everything for this build with the CNC machine. I know, gasp. But just getting some of the stock prepared, getting the models ready, and hopefully, like I said, in the next day or two, we'll start actually making some cuts and see what happens before I actually throw a really nice piece of wood in there. I got some mahogany. And we'll get things rolling on this build. I'm kind of excited. Sam Packin says, how are you? Just getting up. I'm good. Just battling this sort of head cold or something like that. But yeah, we're doing awesome. Robert says, most times if a person has a fever, it's not allergies. Yeah, it was just a slight. It was like 99.2 or something like that. Tiny bit of a fever. It wasn't like a, really high one or something, but I don't know. Miga Woods here. Miga Woods says, good morning, Jeff. Well, good morning. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? Corey says, maybe it's time to start taking some honey on a muffin or a biscuit. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be, if I liked honey, then I would totally go for it. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of honey. Time Surfing says, take a Claritin or Zyrtec every day. It really helps me. Yeah, I might have to try it and see. And Sam asks, is it possible for 2 or more electric guitars to be connected to the same input, but each guitar to provide bass, mids, trebles into one sound? For 2 guitars, I've never tried that. So if I'm understanding what you're talking about, like say you want to plug 1 guitar or 2 guitars into 1 amp, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could use like a Y cable, a splitter. I don't know what that would sound like, but I think that you'd still have full control. I can't think of where you would need something like that. Maybe you just want to jam with somebody through 1 amp or something. You probably could. I don't know. It's a good question. Time Serpent says, beautiful piece of wood. It is cool. It really is. This is a piece of fretboard. This is right off the bandsaw. It's not sanded, but you can still see some of the figure in there. And this, I don't know. I'm kind of bummed out that so much of this material is really not great, because I think it would make some really cool stuff. And hopefully, I've got quite a few slices of this stuff. Hopefully, I can find enough, or I can get enough pieces to where I could actually use it. Like, this stuff is really cool looking. It's got some mineral streaks in there, and then there's some figure and stuff. But if I can lift this up, yeah, there's a lot of this cracks and checking. Some of it goes way up in here. This one's probably one of the better pieces. This one's just been surfaced with the CNC to kind of get it flattened. I'm knocking stuff over. But hopefully I can get some usable stuff out of there. But I'm going to use the pieces that are really cracked and checked, like I said, for just test stuff. And Mike's here. Mike says, "Morning, good morning, Mike Johnson." Mika Wood says, "Fix the cracks." Robert says, "Use epoxy in the cracks, maybe even a few bow ties to hold the wood together." Yeah, I might do that. Like I said, I've got quite a few slabs of this stuff, and I don't want to use all of it. Like I said, I'm hoping I can find some that I'll be able to use, even if I have to, do some bow ties or something. Jimmer says, "What you think of my $7,000 bar stool and garage lights?" That's super cool. Jimmer made a bar stool out of some parts. I think it was a strut or something off of a McLaren. Had to replace some struts, and instead of throwing away this super expensive worn out piece, made a really cool looking bar stool from some McLaren parts. It's super cool, man. Time Serpent says, "I suffer from allergies and I'm married to a nurse." Aha, there you go. Sam says, "Drink moonshine. You will forget the allergies fast." Well, that's true. That is true. And Robert says, "For a slab that big, the tree must have been a giant." Oh, I think it must have been an enormous tree. And I only got a couple of short chunks. Well, I mean, if you've seen the video where I was milling it up, I think last fall, I was using the chainsaw mill, and yeah, they're pretty big. But the problem was, by the time that I got that piece of wood, it had already sat outside, cut into that log for a really long time. So I wished I'd have gotten it earlier, but just it's just the way it goes. But you could see the figure on the outside of this log. So I believe that's why somebody saved this initially, and then it just never got anything done with it. So hopefully I can get some usable pieces out of this, enough to build a guitar. It'd be cool to do a one-piece body, but even if I have to, glue up make at least a two-piece body, I'd be okay with that. Because it does have some cool figure in there. But for now, I'm just going to cut everything out of this stuff and make the first mock-up. Time Serpent says, "That sounds cool." Right on. And Robert says it would have helped if they'd put some end grain sealer to help slow the checking. Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, I think probably whenever this tree was taken down, and it was from about, I don't know, 15, 20 miles from here. Excuse me. It was, I think when they took it down, they saw this figure, or maybe they saw the figure, before they took it down. I don't really know. But then I believe that's why this was saved, because there was two logs that I got, and I believe that they saved those because of that, because there's no way you could miss it. And just, life or whatever happened, and it never got anything done with. By the time I got it, it was just it was pretty far gone, but I'm trying to save what I can. Sam asks if you got a solar system or turbine to back up your power supply in the event of a power outage. Not anything huge. I have a battery that I use mainly in here to run my diesel heater, but I also have a solar charger, and it works pretty good. I also have one of those inverters that I can connect to the battery. So if I needed to, I could run some little things or, charge a phone or something like that. But I don't have anything necessarily, that's going to run like the refrigerator or lights in the house or anything like that. But where I live, hopefully I don't jinx myself, but we don't have a whole lot of power outages here, thankfully. And I think a lot of that is because we don't have a ton of trees. Where I grew up in the Northeast, there's tons of trees. So, when you get a storm or something like that, any branch that comes down, it takes out a power line. So your power outages are more frequent, at least where I used to live anyway. But out here, I really think that it has to do with the trees, because we get some nasty storms here and we just don't lose power most of the time. If we do, it's for a very short period of time. But that doesn't mean, you shouldn't have some sort of a backup. I think it's a great idea, but that's all I have right now, just this little battery, which would get me out of a jam if I was in a bit of a jam for a little while. And Scott's here. Scott says, "Hey, Jeff, made it for the last half of the show." Right on, Scott. Good morning to you, and how are you this fine Wednesday? Right on. Glad you could tune in. I'll have to catch the replays. That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so that has been my last like 4 days, really working on the computer, battling a head cold, trying to get some material ready to build a base. Scott says we're doing good. How are you guys doing? Yeah, that's it. Just battling a little bit of a cold here, and trying to get the CNC fired up here very soon on a bass guitar. And Henry's here. Henry says, "Morning. What's on the agenda this week in the shop?" Well, Henry, good morning to you. I hope you're doing awesome. I kind of been chatting about it already, but right now I'm working on preparing to build the bass guitar. Got some scrap stock milled up, and I've been working on the model on the computer. Been fighting a head cold for the last 4 or 5 days, so I haven't done a whole lot in the shop, unfortunately. I think probably Monday. I only got out here for like a couple minutes, really just because I couldn't take being inside any longer. But yeah, just working on some 3D modeling, and then we're gonna start building the base here pretty quick. It's one of those projects that I've been talking about for long enough, and slowly working towards it. Now we're just gonna do it. We're gonna get it done. So yeah, that's really all that's on the agenda at the moment. There's lots of other projects I want to get to, but just haven't been feeling great, so I just haven't got a whole lot of progress done out here. It's just been staring at the computer and trying to nurse this cold. And Robert says, over where my grandparents used to live, they had some mulberry trees that are about 40-inch diameter at the base. One died and had to be cut down. The wood, when first cut, was a bright golden yellow. Oh, mulberry, that'd be cool. I've never worked with mulberry. It says, could not use any of it because it cracked and checked within minutes once cut. Wow. Yeah, if you seal the end grain, of course, that, like you said, right, that can help. I have some, what the heck's that called? I forget what it is. Can't think of the name now. But it's basically like a sealer. I mean, it is a sealer, not basically. But you can also use like paint, latex paint or something like that. Coat the ends. But yeah, I wonder if it's just a characteristic of mulberry. Like I said, I'm not familiar with how mulberry is. But yeah, that's too bad that it just cracked right away. Sam says you could invest in an off-grid trailer with mini workshop. I've thought about that. I think that would be kind of cool. If you get something like like an enclosed, I don't know, like a race car trailer kind of thing. I think that would be really cool. Set up everything inside there. It's kind of secured down, so if you ever needed to move it, I think that would be a fun build. And I've actually searched online for some trailers like that because I just think that'd be neat. Then I run into the problem was, well, when I have to move it, um, I don't have anything that would pull a big giant trailer. But it would be a fun project for sure. Henry says the more projects I have on my list, sometimes the less I end up doing. Been trying to change that. Just fixed up an old road bike. Fun process. Nice. I got an old mountain bike. And Jimmer, it's the same one I had way back when. And I never got rid of this thing because it's just been a good old bike. The thing's got literally thousands of miles on it. But I think right around 2020, right when everything kind of got shut down, I spent quite a bit of time and kind of fixed this thing up a little bit and did a little bit of riding. But it was kind of fun going through the old bike that I put so many miles on and just fixing up. It's nowhere near what these new bikes these days. But it was really cool to kind of get it back in working order, and put a few miles on it and do a little riding around. I need to get back out on that because I do enjoy riding bikes. I guess now this bike would be considered not a mountain bike, but it would be considered a gravel bike. Have you guys heard of those? A gravel bike now? It's basically an old school mountain bike. They just call it a gravel bike. I don't know. Scott says, I had a chance to do the incline in Mount Bierstadt recently. Breathtaking. I'm starting my first Telly custom build for myself. Oh, that's cool. I have been wanting to try the incline. I'm guessing we're talking about the same incline. I've been wanting to do that for a little while. Everybody says it's a killer, but it seems like a cool thing to do. One of these days, I might see what it's all about. Time surfing, having to replace the clutch master cylinder in my Dodge POS Caliber. Clutch master cylinder. Well, I don't know how hard it is to get to. Is it under the dash or can you still get it from under the hood? Or is it buried by a bunch of stuff? Jimmer says a 6K McLaren strut and a Corvette rim. I know, that's cool. Robert, it's got the update on the mulberry. It says the mulberry wood oxidizes, turns a dark reddish brown, and looks almost like black walnut. Just cracked like crazy. Interesting. Sam says, I'm returning from my vacation. I will try the Amazon order again. I'm doing it solo and haven't done it before, hence why it's taking longer than expected. No worries, Sam. It's all good. Jim says, love eating mulberries. I don't think I've ever eaten a mulberry. So the old Trek, yep, it's the same one. Still got it. He says, still got mine. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Is it nostalgia that makes us keep them? Yep, I still have it. I had to do quite a bit of stuff to it. I had to replace the bottom bracket because it was trashed, and I don't remember what all else. But yeah, it was kind of tricky trying to find the parts for it. But we found them and got it back together. Robert's been looking at getting one of those fat tire e-bikes. I've seen some of those. Looks like it might be a little bit fun. Jim says, got the Whizzer engine and front end still. The Springer one, you still have that? And Sam asks, are you allowed to do street jamming for charity? You can in town. I've seen people doing it. People busking on the corner. I've never done it, but yeah, you can. As far as I know, you can. Paul lost internet to get back up. Yeah, no big deal. You just gotta ends and do the stuff. I've done a little bit of that. Time Surfing says under the hood. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can get it done. It shouldn't be too bad. I've never replaced them on any newer vehicles, but I've replaced clutch master cylinders before. But there was always on like the older trucks and stuff. And Mark says, long ago, before I had a car and TV and such, I had a bike as both transportation and entertainment. I loved it. Then I got a car and got lazy and fat. Now I'm working on fixing that. Yeah, my bike was the same way until I started driving, and then it changed a little bit. Yeah, we used to ride it everywhere. We'd ride it for miles to go hang out at a buddy's house, or to meet up with a friend and go, you ride over to the local swimming hole in the creek, and yeah, you needed to go to the store, you wanted to get something, you just hopped on your bike and you went. That's what we did. Huh, Jim? That's what we did. We ride 5, 6, 7, 8 miles, and or more, just to go hang out with somebody and then go for another ride after that. Henry says, if you go look at what's new out there in any hobby, it will make you want to upgrade. But in the end, if you have fun on the bike, I wouldn't change a thing. Yes, I agree with you, 100%. I got a buddy out here that's got one of those newfangled bikes with all the suspension, and the tires now are like 29 inches, and it's super nice. And I've ridden it, and it's a super cool bike. But for the little bit of riding that I do, I'll take my old one. It gets looks. People are like, oh, it's like you're driving a classic car, so cut out again. Yeah, I think I've seen that. I don't feel like I wouldn't want to convert it. I don't know why. Time Surfing says, not difficult, just annoying. Yes, that's a good way to put it. It's not difficult. It's just a drag. You have to do it. I had to do brakes on one of ours the other day. When did I do that? What day did I do that? It was a week ago, actually. Put brakes on it, front brakes and rotors. It's not a hard thing. It just takes a little bit of time out of your day. Scott says, for network cables, check out the Easy RJ45. We made 1,000. I don't know what that. Only one failure. Interesting. And Donna's here. Donna says, good morning. Good morning, Donna. How are you this fine Wednesday? Cheers. Our coffee cheers. Robert drove a Dodge Caliber for a couple of weeks while my pickup was in the shop being fixed after someone ran into me. I kind of like driving it. That's cool. I've never driven one of those. Sim says you should make a guitar-shaped guitar display system in sections that connect together to make the whole system a guitar. Oh, I know what you mean. Like for you did a little while ago. Yeah, that'd be interesting. There's so many things you could do, when it comes to, like some sort of creative displays, and yeah, it's just the sky's the limit, really. That would be kind of cool. Mark used to ride all over town on nights and weekends, sometimes 30, 40 miles a day. I'd like to be able to do it again. Gonna take a while though. Yeah, that's what we used to do. You'd ride a couple miles to a buddy's house, and then you'd say, hey, let's ride to whatever neighboring town. And yeah, you just go for a ride. Why? Just for something to do. It was never because we needed to get something really from that town, or, that whatever that destination was. We just wanted to ride. Let's go ride 30 miles. Sure. Yeah. Time Surfing says Eve Hora has some really cool looking e-scooters. Yeah, that I've not heard of that brand. I'll have to look at it. Jimmer says, actually, I've measured some of the routes we took, and 20 miles total trip wouldn't be unheard of. No, absolutely not. I know for a fact that I've got way more than one ride in that were 40, 30 to 40 miles for sure. Yeah, just because. Yep, just because. You ride so many miles on the road just so you could get to like a cool trail, and then you'd take this trail for a few miles, and then you'd get back on the paved roads and ride back home, and yeah, it's just what we did. It was super fun too. A lot of times, if you were on a trail, you'd crash and you'd get skinned up, and you'd shake it off, and you'd get back home and be scraped, and you know, yep, 20 miles, absolutely. I don't know what it was from town to where we were, but it had to be 5, 6 miles or more, maybe. I don't know. Sam's guitar's the limit. Yeah. Paul says, I have a box of cable plus ends and crimpers. Been running cable for years. Entire house is wired except for a wireless network for smart devices. Solar system. Cool. Yeah, I did a little bit of that. Um, when I worked in the corporate sector, I would get to help. I was in maintenance, and sometimes I would get to help the facilities teams. I worked on machines mainly, but sometimes I would work with the facilities guys, and we'd run cables. And I got to learn how to, crimp or how to, do all the network stuff. And I always thought that was like one of the worst parts was, you got to separate those wires and get everything just so. And when you put it in the connector, everything's got to be just so or it won't work. I don't know how many times we'd get one done, or I would get one done, not them. They knew what they were doing. I was just helping. I'd get one done and we'd test it and it wouldn't work. So I'd have to cut it off and, do it again. And they'd be like, well, you got to have everything, just so. And it still wouldn't work. And I'd have to do it a couple of times. And finally I got to where it wasn't horrible, but it's kind of fun though. Sam says, don't forget to like. It's totally free. Hit that thumbs up button. Robert says, is anyone else having pixelating issues with the stream? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, Robert. I did have it cut out just a minute ago, so I don't know if that is contributing to that issue you're seeing. Seems like this connection's been working really good for quite a while. I don't know why today all of a sudden, we're having a little bit of a hiccup. Henry says, no matter how long the ride, it's always good to be outside. The biggest upgrade I made on my bike was adding a milk crate to the back. Carrying stuff on your bike is a game changer. Yeah, when you can have a bunch of stuff on there. I never rode with a ton of stuff. Water bottles, and I did have like a couple little bags that connected to the bike that, I'd put some little things in there, sometimes a snack or something, but Jimmer says, I did 160-mile one-way once. It didn't make it back, though. Jim says, 6 miles to school. I don't know what mine was. I remember riding there, though. I don't know. I had to go all the way down the highway to get there. Robert says, my first 10-speed was a friend of mine, and I rode about 20 miles from Oklahoma to Davis, Wynwood, Oklahoma to Davis. First week I had the bike and back. The next couple of days my legs were wrecked. Yeah, when you're not used to it, for sure. Paul says, see, you guys need to be like me. Buy a motorcycle. Ditch the car. Total freedom. Yeah, I would love to get a motorcycle again. It's been quite a while since I've had one. I enjoy riding a motorcycle. Um, yeah, I'd be okay with that. Kind of hard to haul a whole lot of stuff though. I don't think I could ditch the car. Terry says, "Yeah, it's quite pixelated here." Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, that's happening. Jimmer says, "Toolkits in the bags." Yeah, I had toolkits. Tire patch stuff. Maybe a snack, a melted candy bar or something. I don't know. Jim says, "For you it was 6, me 3." That sounds about right. Sam says, "Jeff needs a better computer webcam and microphone." Oh, what the heck? Just replace everything for upgrade. I did upgrade our Wi-Fi. We now have a mesh network to and I can get Wi-Fi out here, but I'm still working on the placement because it is still a bit of a distance from the house. So the signal works, it connects, and actually, which is kind of nice because I can get Wi-Fi out here. Henry S. Does it get hot in the shop? Not looking forward to the summer for making in the garage. Yes, it does, Henry. Um, it does get quite. It gets quite toasty. I think the way this is oriented, though, for the most part during the day, it'll start to warm up. It doesn't get really bad until the evening when the sun is setting. It beats right on the side, like right in. There's a window right here, and it beats right in the window. That's when it really gets hot. Is if I'm out here, 5, 6, pretty much after 5, it seems like it really climbs. For the most part, it's it's just in a right spot, I guess. I don't know where it doesn't get terrible. But yeah, I mean that's one of the challenges, right? Like winter, it's cold. So how do you work in the cold and not freeze your fingers off? And then in the summertime, well then it gets hot. But but at least when it's hot, yes, it's uncomfortable, but my fingers aren't frozen. I can feel like I can still work when it's hot. Like I said, yes, it's not comfortable, but I'd rather that than have to be so bundled up in the winter where you've got so many layers on and you can't feel your fingers. So you try to wear gloves, and of course gloves aren't ever good when you're working around equipment. And yeah, I'll take the summer. Henry says it sounds and looks fine on my side. Well, that's good. Paul says I have a rack, saddlebags. I've hauled fence posts and 2x4s on it. That's cool. Jimmer says all the freedom I need in the Jeep and homemade trailer goes anywhere. That's true. That's true. And it's super cool. Paul says no Wi-Fi in the shop. Too lazy to run internet cable to it. The main reason I wanted to get it out here was because, well, I'm hoping that it'll help these lives, but also the CNC machine can connect to the network, and um, I can transfer files to it, from my computer when it's connected, which is so much easier than having to transfer from a thumb drive. Also, I can control it. I can basically run the machine um, from a computer without having to be right there at the machine, which is kind of nice. Of course, I would never run it while I'm not out here, but I could be on the laptop, make changes to a program, send it right over, and it's just a lot easier to work with it through the network. Time Surfing says, worked hard all my life, really enjoying not have to do anything if I don't want to. Right on. And Robert says, my next long trip, a few friends and I rode from Wynwood to Sulphur, Oklahoma. And then we rode around the state park at Sulphur, but lucky for us, we ran into a friend with a pickup and got a ride back home. I only remember twice that I've been out on my bike and I got a ride back home. And that was because, well, that was because one, I crashed pretty bad, like over the handlebars, down over a bank, and yeah, that was pretty bad. Right, like, landed in the ditch, right in front of this house, and the guy was outside, like I don't know, doing some yard work or something. So like a friend of mine and I were riding down this big hill, and I don't know how this turned into a biking conversation, but that's all right. That's what we do here, right? We mix it up. A friend of mine and I are riding down this hill, and trying to go as fast as we can go, and somehow I lost control going down a hill, and one of these numbers, and next thing you know, I'm over the handlebars, tumbling down this bank, and landed in the ditch. And the guy comes over, and like I'd landed on my shoulder, so it's kind of skinned up a bit. And so he gave me a ride home. That was like only a couple miles from home. And the other time was, I don't know, I was probably 20 miles away, 15 miles away. It was one of those longer rides. And we'd stopped at this little gas station to get a drink, or I don't know, get something. And riding out, somehow I got hit by a truck. It wasn't bad or anything. The guy was getting ready to turn, and we didn't see each other, and it was just this whole thing. And so I went to pull out to cross the street, and he was right there. And anyway, like just boom, and I fell over. And it wasn't any big deal. But did he give me a ride home? Actually, I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Now that I think about it, I think we rode home. I wasn't banged up or anything, but he ended up calling home. I gave him my number, or he wanted my number or something. But yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, the only time I remember now that I talked this out, getting a ride home, was when I landed in the ditch in this dude's yard. Now, Paul says, get a small mini split unit, then you can get cool and do a video of the install in the process. True. Sam says, Best Buy has a MiFi box, personal Wi-Fi that allows a cable connection for around $800. Would be great for internet connection anyway when there's cell phone coverage. I just use if I need coverage like that, I just use the Wi-Fi on my phone. When I can, if I need to. A couple of days ago, we had a short internet outage at the house, and my 3D modeling software was acting funny because it didn't have internet, so I just switched over to the hotspot on the phone. And Jimmer says, no Wi-Fi at my shop, 1 mile from home. Yeah. You don't need it, right? You got the phone if you need to look something up or whatever, but it's like the retreat space. Robert says, time surfing, right there with you. Henry says, remember a year or two ago, you were debating getting a CNC. Now you're a pro. I wouldn't say pro just yet. I'm trying. I'm working on it. I do have I got the guitar modeled almost completely. I got to fix a few things, modify a couple things, but yeah, I'm trying. I'm working towards it. I don't know if I'll ever be a pro, but thank you. I appreciate that. Mark says that park in Sulphur is pretty cool. Jim says, wasn't the wheel loose? I don't know. All I remember when I sailed over the bars and landed in the ditch, I didn't have, like those drop road bars. I had my mountain bike, and I was like leaning on the hand grips, and I think I hit a bump, and one of my arms came off the grip, and of course from there it just escalated. I don't think that one was a wheel, but it might have been. Robert gives the thumbs up, or time surfing, so it gives the thumbs up. Sam says, to clear those sinuses fully, try the one chip challenge. Yeah. I did try. I have some really hot salsa, and I did try that the other day. And it's one of those salsas that's so hot that I can't eat it. It's just too hot. And I like spicy stuff, but it's so painfully hot that I can only take a couple of bites, and that's it. And it's not enough to get sinuses going. Jim says, twice needed a ride home. Once from your house, blew a tire and wasn't repairable. Second was 60 miles away. Mom wasn't happy with that collect phone call. Oh, Robert says, yeah, the death wobble on a bike sucks. Yeah, yeah, especially when you know how it's going to end. What the heck was that? And Mark says, I had a front wheel go flying off once while I was trying to hop it over a rock. It was not a great time. I can imagine. Oh, geez. Paul says that he had a bicyclist hit me when I was stopped a few years back. He told police he saw me, but thought I would move. What? He was riding illegally on the wrong side of the road, but my insurance replaced his bike. Oh, geez. Man. Henry's got to run. He says, I hope the base build goes well this week. Thanks, Henry. Glad you could tune in. And hope you get out in the shop and make some cool stuff. And I hope you have an awesome week. Paul says, I have a couple of the one chip challenges I could send you if you want to do one on a live. I mean, part of me wants to try it, but I don't know about on a live. I wouldn't probably get anything else done. I'd just be sitting here with my, sweat running off my face. Robert says, I was also hit by a car once. I was riding along and this guy pulled out in front of me with less than the length of a car. Oh no. Hit him in his driver's door, never stopped, and knocked the chain off. Oh no. Now this one here that was I was going to cross the road and I didn't see this dude coming along and I rode out in front of him. Thankfully, like I said, he was right at an intersection getting ready to turn, so he was barely going. Sam's in the UK. I can actually see a special toilet roll for after Vindaloo nights for the cooling effects. Interesting. Jimmer says, who was it that popped a wheelie and the front wheel popped off? I don't remember, but I remember that. And I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But I remember that. I remember that happening. Paul says, we would enjoy it, though, and think of all the likes. I mean, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not totally against it, but sort of. I like spicy food, but there's a little bit of a line. Mark says, I've built a bunch of basses and a couple guitars. I like building basses more. Interesting. Well, I've only built one bass. I mean, that was that Thunderbird style bass that I did a couple years ago. This one is going to be a Haley Guitars model. It's called the Subtonic. And this will be my first Haley Guitars. Well, other than that T-Bird style bass, this will be my intro into building a bass. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've wanted to do it for a while, and I've been talking about it for, I don't know, what feels like years, and probably has been years, and we're gonna make it happen. I'm pretty excited. And it's my intro into building a guitar using the CNC machine. Up until now, all my builds are done with templates, that I've modified and made, and I've used templates for everything. But I'm trying to convert everything over for use on the CNC machine. And this bass is the first one that I've modeled completely to. What am I trying to say? I lost my train of thought. This is the first one that I've modeled to be made that way. not to just make some templates. So I think I probably will make some templates for this as well, just in case, I don't know, I have some need for a template. But once this is done, I feel like I'll be feeling a lot more comfortable, and then I'll work on converting all of my other ones, or my other designs, the other two, the Tonic and the Dorian, both over to digital. And that's the goal. But I'm looking forward to it. Paul says, need to send you a shop sticker anyway. Hey, yeah. I need to put it up here or put it somewhere. Jimmer says that ride home from your house was also when Mom got passed on the highway doing 55 by Eric on his road bike. This sounds about right. He might have been the one that lost the wheel. Sam says, I ordered 8 camera system today. I also got 2 PTZ cameras for it. Nice. That's going to be cool. Then now you got the fun of getting everything set up. Sam says you could set a little guitar jam as your intro music. Would be cool. Yeah, for the lives before it actually goes on. That'd be kind of cool. There's a lot of things that I would like to do for these lives. And part of the reason I've been fighting with the internet, trying to improve it, because like I said, I want to run it from the laptop and OBS and all that, because I can do that sort of stuff. Right now, I don't have the ability to throw music in here that I'm aware of, because right now I'm just streaming on the phone, which is easy. It works well, but I want to step it up. Mark says, I feel like there's a bit more freedom on bass design, but I'm not quite sure why, except that almost all the guitarists I know just want a Strat, Tele, or LP, which doesn't interest me much. You know, that's interesting that you bring that up. Because I agree with you. Now that I think about this a little bit, and I've noticed it for a while, but I've never made that connection. And now that you've said that out loud, yeah, I think you're right. It seems like, you see a lot of different designs for bass that you don't see quite the, I don't know what the word is. You don't see that in guitars. You're absolutely right. I see a lot of them. With basses now, I'm seeing quite a few, even from some of the, the bigger, the main name brand guitars. I'm seeing this now, so you guys have probably seen it. Like, so you have a bass, you have the upper horn. Well, they won't have a cutaway on the upper horn. So the upper horn will just come up and then boom, right up to the fretboard. I mean, it's totally different. And you don't see stuff like that on guitars, and I don't know why. You're right. Yeah, because everybody, yeah, interesting. Well said, and you really got my brain going on that one. But you're right. I think there's a whole bunch of different people can seem more creative maybe with bass designs. What I've been struggling the longest with, and now that I've got this modeled up, I still have to make some adjustments, is the dang headstock. That's like the worst. I don't know why, but it is. There's certain things that I want it to accomplish, and a straight string pull is one of them. And there's only so many things you can do and keep a straight string pull. So it's become quite challenging to try to do something that works without being an exact duplicate of somebody else's. Mark says, whereas the bass players I know are less fussy about everything being based on some vintage design. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Okay, here's a question. For anybody that plays bass or is a bass player, what are your requirements with controls, right? So the reason I'm asking is because I'm working through, how many knobs do I want to put on this thing? I see some guitars, they got 36 knobs and switches on there. I definitely don't want that. But I want to have enough controls. I am not a bass player. I want to have enough controls that makes this guitar versatile, but I don't want to go overboard. Again, for me, I'd probably be just fine with one pickup, probably no tone control, because I'm just very minimalist like that. But as bass players, what do you guys like on a guitar? Do you like individual pickup volumes? Individual volumes, individual tones. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But I don't know. Would you rather have, concentric pots for bass and treble for each one? You're like, what? That's about the only thing that I have yet to really decide for this build that I'm going to start is what do I want to do for knobs and controls. So if you guys have any input, I would love to hear it, because like I said, I'm not a bass player, so I'm trying to think about what would you like? And Mike says he was to one with a nut loose. And Jimmer says, I think you're right. It might have been Eric. I think it was. Jimmer says this session deserves a bike guitar build. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. It's in the shape of a bike, or at least the silhouette anyway. Sam says, I noticed you don't set a timer on your live videos to when you're going to be live. It'd be easier for people to set reminders. I'll have to look at that. Again, a lot of it is because I'm doing this from my phone, but I guess I could probably schedule it ahead of time. I'm going to try this when we're done. I'm going to schedule next week's live as soon as we're done. I don't know if that's too early, but we're going to try it and see what it does. Paul says, have a great week, guys. Gotta go take care of customers. Right on, Paul. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome week. I hope the customers don't bother you too much. Maybe you can get some shop time. Robert says, yeah, at one time probably the most popular bass design was the P bass. Yeah, I believe that. Time Surfing says, my son wants to build a skeleton guitar from a motorcycle chain. That would be cool. I've seen some things like that done. You just go and like TIG weld each of the links or something. That would be cool. If I had a TIG welder, I might try it. I'm gonna have to borrow Jim's. Mark says it's tough to come up with a unique headstock design. It's a very constrained element. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Like, especially if you're going for a straight string pull, which, like I said, I really want everything to be. There's only so many things you can do. A Deep Fun says a lot of basses have preamps in them and active electronics. Yes, I know that too. And I feel like, at least at the beginning, for this first model or two, I probably will not do active. I'll keep everything passive. Try to keep it as simple as possible, but I still want to capture all of those, whatever. I want to make it versatile. Time Servant says there's a reason why most guitars look alike. It's all been done before. A lot of it has. Sam says, could a powerful bass speaker trigger a mini trimmer? I don't think so. Mark says, I hated individual volume. I'd rather have a pickup blend control. That's a unique thing to bass. Most modern basses have a blend pot rather than two volumes or a switch. Yeah, and I'm totally fine wiring it that way. I mean, to me, being a guitar player, not a bass player, I like the single volume control with a switch for pickups. I think what throws me off is when I look at, I try to look at some of the other options from, the name brand. And, and there's 46 knobs, and 23 micro switches and mini switches. And I mean, I'm just like, why? Again, I'm not a bass player, so I don't get all of the, hundreds of switches and things. And that's got to be it's got to be a nightmare to wire. What would be the problem with volume and tone and a switch? I mean, I don't know. Would that be a problem? Would that be versatile enough for most bass players? Mike says, you've answered your question regarding bass players. Ask a local bass player, not guitar builders. Speak to your local bass players. Yeah, and well, that's why I'm throwing it out there, just in case you guys have any input, because I'm not a bass player. And I do have a couple friends that I plan to reach out to as well and just basically ask that same question. Hey, if you could, what is your ideal bass control configuration? Robert says, what type of pickups are you planning on using? I don't know the exact pickup yet. It'll probably be, some sort of Duncan something or other. Mike says, see you later. Mike Johnson, have an awesome day. Thanks for tuning in. And Ghost is here. Ghost says, long-time watcher, but first time in live. Greetings from Finland. Right on, Ghost. Good morning. Probably afternoon for you. Good afternoon. And welcome. How's everything in Finland? Right on. Jimmer says, I'll send you some old bike parts. We'll build a guitar out of it. Or maybe put them on my bike. Right. Sam says, thank you, Jeff, for today's fantastic stream. You absolute legend. Right on, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, we've got to wrap this up here pretty quick. We're a little over the time, but that's okay. I'm not rushing anybody out. Jimmer says, business would be so much easier without customers. I mean, I guess that depends on the business that you're in. A Ghost says, tone is overrated thing on bass. Well, I mean, I'm not a bass player, so I can't really say. Mark says, yeah, volume and tone is fine. P-bass has just that, and it's still the most popular bass out there. But some people want all the controls on board, so they stuff an EQ, which is where the knobs come from. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I'm like, isn't that what your amp's for? But that's just me. Like I said, I'm very minimalist on the actual guitar. I don't mind having, 40 pedals and all that sort of stuff, but I don't know. I don't play a wide variety of different things. So I can't, I don't really have a need to switch anything around. Robert says, I think sometimes the builders just try to put in too much stuff to the instrument to prove they can. But to me, most times simple is better. Yeah, that's the way I feel. And really, that's why I'm asking the question, because, my instinct is to keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid. But again, I'm not a bass player. So if most people don't like it, I'm not putting it in there. The Ghost says it's actually 1911 here in Finland, so it's evening. Right on. It's so cool that we can all meet together all around the world. It's not. I didn't see Harry Dude. Hope Harry Dude's good. From Australia. Mark says a lot of it comes from how many bass players are in multiple bands, so they need lots of tonal options without having to have too much gear. Many bassists don't want to go to the amp to change tone. I mean, and I get that. That's understandable. Ghost says, I have one self-built P-bass and one active Yamaha BB734. I kind of prefer the P-bass. Yeah, P-bass is passive. Well, they probably make active ones, but I'm guessing your P-bass is passive. Jimmer says, you're saying basses are like cars now? That's what it seems like. If I start doing research, and I have been, for the last couple of weeks trying to figure out what I want to do for options, there are some that are literally, I mean, 4 or 5, 6 knobs and little mini switches to do different things, and it's crazy. So 18 volt, 2 9-volt batteries, running stuff, and it seems like too much to me. But that's just me. Mark says, my main bass is an active Ibanez multi-scale 6-string, an unusual beast to be sure, but it can do anything. It has one switch and 6 knobs. Yeah. Ghost says, yeah, it's passive, but still different tunings, gives a lot alongside the passive active perspective. Oh yeah, I'm not arguing the passive at all, because I prefer that, because you don't have to worry about the dang battery going dead. I mean, I get the whole active thing, but I don't feel as a non-bass player that it's active. Even guitars, I don't have any guitars that run active pickups. I don't want to have to mess with 9-volt batteries. So cool. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to get out of here. I got to get back to doing some modeling so that hopefully I can start turning this pile of scrap stuff into some sample bass parts. Hopefully. That's the plan. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, I want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in and for putting up with me dealing with this little bit of a head cold here and maybe a few intermittent internet things. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Robert says, sounds like some of those basses a person would need an engineer degree to set it up. Well, at least to wire it. I can't imagine the wiring for some of these that have all the knobs and switches. I mean, it's just, it's got to be awful. And Rack is here. Rack says, hi, guys. What's going on? Just in time. We got to wrap this up. I got to get back to work. Sam says, be safe, everyone. Mark says, I have one passive bass, and I never really play it. Batteries last for months, and I keep several spares in my gig bag. Well, I mean, that's a valid point. If you're used to it and you're prepared for it, it's not really that big a deal. Robert says, everyone stay safe and healthy. Edgelight says, hi, peeps. What's up? Time Surfing's got a Dylan bass from the 70s. Weighs a ton. Good tone, though. Right on. Robert says the stream has cleared up. Nice. Mark says wiring is mostly modular plug and play. True. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go see if I can find some sort of sinus medicine to take and then get back to work. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. And I'm going to schedule next week's now. And so we'll see if that makes any difference. And stay safe, guys. Hope you get some time to get out in your shops, make some cool projects, play some music, do whatever it is that you love doing. Get some time, especially as we're moving into nicer weather. Hope it's nice where you live and you can get outside and enjoy some of that nice outdoor air. So anyway, take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. My hand in front of the camera. That's very unprofessional. Later, guys.